Balake. Where is Balake at?
My name's Blake.
Do you want to go to war, Balake? I'm for real. Ron.
Ron, everyone, welcome back to SPTV. Okay, so this is a really interesting update. This is an update in the trafficking lawsuit against David Miscavige that was filed by 3 former Scientologists, 3 former Sea Org members, all residents of Australia, all of whom worked on Scientology's cruise ship, the Freewinds, and all of whom are suing David Miscavige and a handful of Scientology organizations. Now, I did another live stream earlier this evening where I said David Miscavige has gone back into hiding, and it is that video. This is the lawsuit that video is referring to. This is the lawsuit that David Miscavige is still trying to say, no, I have not been served. I do not submit myself to the jurisdiction of the court, and all this kind of stuff. So, let me before I show the actual filing, I'll give it just a descriptive recap of where we're at. All 3 of the Sea Org members have signed agreements under duress to never sue Scientology for any reason. This is a hurdle that all Scientology civil lawsuits have to clear. All lawsuits against Scientology have to clear. Scientology has members just sign agreements many times promising never to sue. And in the case of Sea Org members, particularly people who are second-generation Scientologists, sometimes second-generation Sea Org members, people who joined the Sea Org as children. These agreements, they're signed first as children, which of course you'd think aren't even legally binding, almost certainly under duress. But then even when these agreements are signed again later in life, the argument is that these agreements are still being signed under duress. At issue right now in the case, the judge is being asked to rule. Can the lawsuit move forward because the arbitration agreements were signed under duress? Or do the plaintiffs have to submit themselves to Scientology's internal arbitration? Now, the plaintiffs are asking the judge to rule that the agreements were signed under duress. Scientology's attorneys are actually making the argument, Judge, you're not allowed to rule whether the agreements were signed under duress. You have to let the arbitration panel decide whether the agreements were signed under duress. It is this crazy sort of chicken and the egg problem, or this circular logic that is like, again, I feel like I'm repeating myself already, but it's like the plaintiffs the Scientology is going, these plaintiffs must be compelled to arbitrate because they signed these agreements. And the plaintiffs are going, wait, those agreements shouldn't even be enforceable because they were signed under duress. And then Scientology goes, whoa, but only the arbitration panel can decide whether the agreements to arbitrate were signed under duress. It really is as crazy as it sounds. Okay, so let me just share the screen here. This is the first thing I'm going to show you. This is going to be brief. We're not going to go through all these documents. This is the one from the plaintiff. Just wanted you to be able to see the actual thing here. Plaintiff's memorandum of law regarding whether the court or an arbitrator must decide the duress defense. Oh, and actually, I forgot. There's an explanation. I should. Okay. The Scientology's argument is that there was a Supreme Court decision. I think the opinion was written by Antonin Scalia from 2006. I think it was Buckeye check cashing versus Cardena. And somehow, I don't know the details of that case, but the ruling and what Scientology's attorneys are saying is that this ruling means that the court can only make a determination if the arbitration clause was signed under duress, if the arbitration clause itself is a standalone agreement. But the court can't make that determination if the clause regarding arbitration is part of a greater contract. I mean, this thing gets so far into the weeds. Can you imagine? Just think about it. You can't determine whether duress was involved if the entire agreement includes something about arbitration. You can only make that determination if the arbitration agreement stands on its own. This might sound ridiculous. That's why I want to show you these things so you can see it yourself. So add to stream. Okay, good. So we're going to go down to page 6. This is, oh no, that one's the one from the plaintiff. Let's go. This is, okay, we're going to start with the one from the defense because it is the one that makes the most sense first off. Sorry, guys, bear with me here. Bear with me. Come on now. Joint defense brief on duress. Okay, good. On this one, we're also going down to page 6. Okay, here we go. We're going to go single page. Excellent. And then we're going to make it bigger. Excellent. Defendants dispute all allegations of duress as pure fabrication, but none of the contracts at issue are freestanding arbitration agreements. All are general contracts covering plaintiffs' relations to Scientology. I'm going to say Scientology instead of defendants because it communicates better. All are general contracts covering plaintiffs' relations to Scientology that contain within them arbitration provisions. The departure agreements for the Baxters contain 8 sections, of which only 1 relates to arbitration. Valeska Paris's departure agreements contain 20 and 19 sections respectively, of which only part of 1 concerns arbitration. The departure agreements concern issues of confidentiality, non-disparagement, compensation, and release of claims. Yet plaintiffs do not allege that, oh, for the love of God. Come on, man. Yet plaintiffs do not allege that defendants employed duress in connection with any arbitration provision in particular, but with respect to the departure agreements as a whole, irrespective of their content. Okay, I think I'm just going to read like a little bit more of this. In fact, plaintiffs' declarations regarding their execution of the departure agreements make no mention of duress exercised as to the arbitration provision in particular. For instance, Gawain Baxter declares, I understood that if I did not sign the documents, we would have been prevented from leaving the ship. Laura Baxter and Valeska Paris made similar statements about signing their departure agreements. They claim they signed the agreements as a whole under duress, without alleging any duress in connection with obtaining consent to the arbitration provision in particular. Even, I've already read these several times, and every time I read that, I go, is that really what they're saying? Is that really what they're expecting the judge to rule in their favor regarding? Your Honor, the defendants claim that the entire agreement was signed under duress. Therefore, you're not allowed to make a ruling on it. You can only make a ruling if they claim they were specifically under duress just for the arbitration agreement provision. I mean, guys, I know legal rulings can be complicated and nuanced and on their surface may not make sense to a layman, but this seems egregiously ridiculous. All right, I will show you now just one paragraph from the plaintiffs because anyway, I thought this was an amazing response, but what do I know, guys? Let me just show it to you. Come on, get the right view on here. Good and good. And we're almost there. Come on, I'm trying to make it a little bit bigger. All right, screw it. Plaintiffs, I'll at least show you the page 1. This is the plaintiff's memorandum of law regarding whether the court or an arbitrator must decide the duress defense. Okay. Plaintiffs' sole reason for raising duress is to defeat the motion to compel to arbitration. So they seek only a ruling that the arbitration provisions were the product of duress. They do not ask the court to opine on the validity of the rest of the contract. Plaintiff's duress challenge is thus still specific to the arbitration, even though it requires examining the circumstances under which the entire contract was formed. All right. So anyway, I don't know how interesting people in general find that these like very specific complaints, but the entire trafficking lawsuit against David Miscavige and Scientology hinges on these extremely specific and nuanced arguments regarding the enforceability of these arbitration agreements. And it really does come down to an argument on something specific as, well, are they claiming the duress was specific to the arbitration provision, or are they claiming the duress was applicable to the entire agreement? I mean, guys, I know I'm repeating myself. Sometimes I like to repeat myself. Just imagine being a judge and having a lawyer make that argument to you. Your Honor, you're not even allowed to decide whether duress was an issue if the duress was for the whole thing. You can only make the decision if the duress was specific to the arbitration clause. And yet the entire issue of whether arbitration must be done hinges on the enforceability of the arbitration agreement. Anyway, I know I'm repeating myself at this point, but sometimes it's necessary. All right, this is probably my last live stream for the day until, Mark and Claire are doing their top 10 Tuesdays, their David Miscavige Shoops for the week. Captain Keebler, Scientology's boss baby. And I think they might be doing something extra special fun tonight. And that's going to start in about an hour and 10 minutes. So this is probably my last one. All right, guys, that's all I got for this evening. Thanks for tuning in. Much more to come tomorrow, and I'll talk to you guys soon.
Okay, if you want to see my rock and roll songs, click right on this guitar. And if you want to see a different one of my videos, then you could click right inside here. If you have subscribed or not, subscribe right here. Bye.